Guys, we're back for another exciting episode of the Hashtag Wednesday Match Play, and I am pumped for today's guest because I track stats, right? When I go play golf, I track score, obviously. I track greens, I track fairways, I track putts, left side, right side. Like, I'm looking at everything, and I've recently started using the Grint as my handicap tracker. I was using a solution down here in Florida, but started using the Grint.com. And they even ask for which side of the fairway did you miss? Which side of the green did you miss? So, like, I've got stats running through my head like crazy. So when I first learned about this brand, NoteCaddie, I was excited because they do a little bit of stat tracking. There's GPS involved. There's course mapping. Like, it's dialed in, right? And I'm very excited to learn more about NoteCaddie on tonight's episode. As always, the Hashtag Wednesday Match Play is presented by Eat Sleep Golf. If you haven't done this, stop what you're doing. Click the subscribe button down below. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel so every time an episode is posted, comes out every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That way you make sure you get notifications that the episode is posted. Also, if you don't want to watch it, you don't want to see my face, you can click on the subscribe button on iTunes and Google Play. Podcast form comes out a week later after the episodes are live on YouTube. So make sure wherever you're at, whatever you want to do to consume this content, make sure you subscribe. If you have questions, comments for the guests, make sure you leave those in the comments section below. But let's jump into today's guest. We have NoteCaddie with us, and this is an app that I'm just excited to learn more about. We have the guy that basically founded this, and I don't even know if he's got employees. Like, this guy's dialed in. The website's awesome. The app is awesome. So I'm going to welcome Louis from NoteCaddie. I was going to try to pronounce your last name, knowing that I would totally drop the ball on that. So I can't pronounce it, but I'm going to let him do that. So, Louis, welcome to the Hashtag Wednesday Match Play.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Louis Oviedo. It's
that sounds like so town. Good. Like, I could never make it sound like that.
Yes, it is a town in Florida and in Spain. That's my heritage is Spanish, so that's where I get it from. But yeah, thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. So let's just jump into it. So the way this show is formatted, we have 9 questions, the front 9, so to speak, all business. So it's time to put on a suit and tie and let's get serious. And I am very excited. This is only one of the first episodes that I've had my uniform on. So I'm very excited to have my new golf shirt. So the Hashtag Wednesday Match Play is a part of the Golf Radio Network, which is a syndicated podcast solution. So it joins other shows like Private Club Radio, and anything that you want to learn about that, just check us out. Google search Private Club Radio. Google search the Hashtag Wednesday Match Play. Golf Radio Network. This show is getting bigger and better as we go along, thanks to guests like you. So let's give us an overview. What is NoteCaddie all about? What's your role with that? Where did it start? Just kind of the 10,000-foot view of all that has to do with NoteCaddie.
Absolutely. Well, so NoteCaddie is really an app that I designed to make a simple way for you to be able to play every course like it's your home course. We all play our home courses better than we play any other course. So if we had the opportunity to play every course like that, we could definitely see our scores improve. So when I started, I've been playing golf for almost 6 years now, and I picked up the game quickly and I started trying to absorb as much as I could. And one of the ways you do that, obviously, is you check out, what the best are doing. What are the tour pros doing? Now, a lot of players, what they do is they focus on, the pro swings and, routines. How are they putting? What do they do to set up their putts? One of the things that I noticed is that every single pro, bar zero, every single pro, is conferring with their caddy and checking out their notes. So the first thing I did is I went to the store and I said, okay, can I get one of those notepads that all the pros have? And they're like, no, we don't have anything like that. So that's kind of what inspired me. Is I wanted the tool for myself, and I still, I'm passionate about it because I want, the features that NoteCaddie has. So it's really designed to make your own little yardage books. You can take notes about the shots you take, your ideal misses, what clubs you want to take off the tee. You're able to get your distances on every hole to any place that you want. We also inserted a new feature called Go Zones and No Zones, which we're really excited about. And I say we, but it's basically me. I don't have employees.
That was my next question. How many people work for you? So
yeah, it's just me still. I get a little help occasionally, but for the most part, I'm a one-man show. So, but it's cool. You can just basically drop in a Go Zone or a No Zone right on the GPS screen, and you can place it anywhere you want on that hole, and it'll persist. So you can have a little target place that tells you exactly where you want to drop it. Or, if you know there's a place you absolutely don't want to be because you're going to end up in jail if you aim it over there, you put down a no zone and it does the same thing. And then the next time you play, you just tap on that go zone or the no zone. It'll tell you exactly what the distance is. And then, you're that much closer to having a great idea of how you want to play that hole.
That's
So
awesome. So
you can draw undulations on the greens with your finger or a stylus. And then you can keep score and track your stats as well.
So pretty much exactly what I'm doing anyway. Now, I personally have GPS at my home course. We are carts required, so I can't walk, and we have really high quality GPS provided by Visage. So if I'm like, how far is it to that water? I tap it, boom, it tells me how far it is. Or if I'm like, I know that I don't want to go right here, I can say, okay, well, that bunker's 175. I need to hit it 155. So it's kind of got that no zone, go zone kind of thing built in mentally, right? So how does the app compete with a golfer that's got that technology available to them at their home course?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. It's comparable in terms of what the GPS provides. Obviously, something like the go zones and the no zones is really more about helping you plan out how you want to play a hole. So you might see that there's a bunker, but I'll give you a different situation. For example, a GPS is a flat view of the course in most cases. So say the right side of the green is very elevated. And so if you hit the ball short and right of the green, you have almost no way of getting up and down, or the rough is always left really thick there. So you just got to know, hey, in that spot, I definitely don't want to be there because I'm not going to be able to get up and down from that spot. That's not something you can necessarily see from just your little GPS spot. But if you drop that there, or if you put it in your notes, then hey, my ideal spot is going to be left and long here because I do not want to go short and right. If I go short and right, I'm gonna score a bogey. So it changes your mentality a little bit just from getting yardages purely to, okay, let me look at this hole and scheme my way through this hole. Kind of pick your shots a little bit more.
I like that, and I honestly put myself in the category of a thinker around the golf course. I've been working with Bernard Sheridan with Impact Zone Golf and for the last few months, and he's got me thinking on every shot. What would I do here? And if I hit the shot that I think that I want to hit, what damage could I cause? And, we played a practice round kind of a playing lesson not long ago, and I was on a par 5, and he's like, "Why are you hitting driver here?" And I said, "Because it's a par 5." And he said, "Okay, hit it." And I hit it, and I hit it right. My normal miss is a little bit right if I don't actually hit where I'm trying to. I'm still in the fairway. Well, I can't go to the green I can't even lay up. I had to hit a 9-iron. So he proved the point, knowing that I was going to probably miss right. I did miss right. I hit a 9-iron, and then I hit a wedge because the way that the hole lays out, it made sense. So it was driver 9-iron wedge. He's like, what if you could hit a 3-wood here and have a 4-iron into the green? And just the way that I thought through that specific hole has kind of changed the way that I think on a tee to green basis. And our black course here at Tiburon, it's 18 holes. It's a championship golf course. It's hard golf course.
Yeah.
I hit driver 4 times. I don't need to hit maybe 3 times. We have a hole number 2. It's the hardest hole in the golf course, maybe the hardest hole I've played in Southwest Florida. It's 425 yards. I'm never hitting driver there. It's silly to. I'll hit 3-wood, 5-iron, 6-iron, and I'll make par at worst versus hitting driver and risking a bogey or a double bogey. So I like that NoteCaddie kind of has that thought process built into it and how you strategize your way around the golf course.
Yeah.
So how many users do you have of the app, and do you know where they come from, or is it just kind of a total user basis?
Yeah, no. So we just got started this season. We're slowly ramping up, and I'm definitely on kind of a bootstrap budget. So we have several hundred users already, though, this season. We're nearing on our first 1,000, so we're pretty excited about that. Hopefully this podcast helps with that number a little bit. And we also map all of our golf courses by request. So we don't use anybody else's data. We basically build out our own database. And we've mapped countries now in 19 countries, and we're in 39 states. So we kind of have an idea of where people are coming in, and they're coming in from all over, which is fantastic.
That is awesome. So we're going to get to that, but one of the questions I'm going to ask later is how we get Tiburon, both of our golf courses, on your app.
Okay,
so we'll get there, but that's really cool that you're in that many. And so working for Troon, we're always looking at the number of cities and countries and states that we're in. So that's
Yeah.
cool. Like, is a goal of yours to get to 50 states? Like, is that the
Absolutely.
first? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We really want to concentrate a little bit. I'm based in Broomfield, Colorado, just outside of Denver. So, one of the focuses that I want to be able to have here at the beginning is to be able to proactively map a lot of the courses in my area and around here, so that I can go out to these courses and talk about kind of what NoteCaddie brings. But absolutely, I mean, we want to make as big of a footprint as possible, and really no courses out of our reach, with the technology that we have today. So, in the far corners of the world, we have courses mapped in South Africa. We have courses mapped in France and Germany, and you name it. So I'm excited that there's so many people all over who have not only the desire to play, with this type of tool, but have the access and can reach us. So it's pretty awesome.
So let's say a course operator is sitting here watching this episode, listening to this episode. What's the cost for a facility to get their golf course on the app?
Yeah, so there's no cost. So really what we're trying to do is benefit the user. So it's really consumer based. And so if you as the user go in and you can't find the course that you want to play on, basically there's a link there in the course select menu. And you would just tap it. It'll take you to a menu that basically says, hey, tell us what the name of the course is and where it's located. And then that'll notify the team at NoteCaddie. And
this guy.
Yeah. And I'll go in, I'll find out all the GPS coordinate points. I'll find the scorecarding information and get it all up to speed so that you can play. Generally, I'll get that in within 48 to 72 hours, depending on how many requests are in the queue.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So the app is available on iOS. Android coming soon? Kind of what's your strategy there?
Yes, the objective is in the next 12 months to be up and running in Android. Interestingly, I became a golfer very recently. I became an app developer even more recently. I basically had the concept, and at first I was looking into having somebody build it, and eventually it just became hey, what's stopping me? And so basically I have been learning how to program as a part of this whole process, and I'm excited to say that I've made it myself with that knowledge that I built. So Android is next, but I'll have to learn a new programming language. So I got to get this thing going first, and then once I prove its viability a little bit more, then we'll start looking at phase 2.
For what it's worth, I use an iPhone, so I'm just saying.
Very good. Very
now,
good.
For those golf course operators, what's the process that says, "Hey, John Doe Golf Club, I want to be on this app"? Where do they go? What do they do? What information do you need from the facility?
Yeah, so in order to get the facility on, basically, I need coordinate information, which is basically I can find that on most scorecards these days. Most scorecards have kind of the location of all their holes and setups, and I find a lot of the course information online. So really, if you're not a user that's going in to request a golf course from there, you can go to www.notecaddie.com. And there's a place to request courses to be added to the database there as well as a list of all the courses that we have available. So we're up to almost 300 golf courses that we've mapped so far.
Awesome. So under the rules of golf, which we'll talk a little bit. I mean, a few weeks ago, Phil Mickelson challenged the rules of golf. We'll talk about that on our back nine. But under the rules of golf, let's say I'm in a competition. Can I use this app and the notes and the coordinates in a official competitive event?
Yeah, so it depends on the competitive event. Most like club championships and things like that do allow the use of GPS as long as there's no slope involved. And so we don't include slope and things like that for that reason, to try and simplify that. We are also looking at updating our website here soon to allow you to potentially become a premium user and be able to print out your notes. And then that way, if you are in a tournament where you're not able to use them because the tournament doesn't allow you to, you'll be able to take basically a paper format of the notes that you've taken. So that is in the works, something that we are trying to build out. But in the meantime, yes, most amateur tournaments that are not for big money, you can use a mobile application. So
just for the record, Bryson DeChambeau, you can not use this, unlike your protractor compass crap that he was doing a few weeks ago. Like, come on. Like, of all of the people, too, the guy that uses same length irons is going to be using a legitimate, like, math. Like, I don't even know if I could tell you how to use that besides to draw a perfect circle. Like,
right.
and the excuse that he used, he's like, oh, it was to define pin locations because the sheets are usually wrong. I'm pretty sure the sheets are 100% accurate.
Exactly.
That's the PGA Tour we're talking about here, right? So the app, you talk about adding the no zone and the go zone. What other new things are coming up for the app? You got any upcoming new features you're looking to add?
Yeah, so we've got actually quite a few features. The biggest one that we're excited to build in is the NoteCaddie community, which we're calling the NoteCaddie Army. And really, that's going to take NoteCaddie to the next level. Essentially, right now, you would take notes on the courses that you play, and you would basically keep your own notes. But one of the things that we have set up in your profile is you tell us how far you hit your 7-iron, and you tell us how far you hit your driver. And so in the future, what we're looking to do is basically build a community of users who are taking notes. And then what we can do is match you up to other users' notes. So say you go to a course you've never played before without having to take notes. Now you can play that course like it's your home course. You've never seen the greens, but you know exactly how they break. You've never seen that hole. It's a blind dogleg left, but you know exactly the line you want to take to drop that ball. Or hey, I shouldn't hit driver on this par 5. Let me hit 3-wood, and then I'll have a 4-iron onto the green. So
thank you, Bernard Sheridan, for proving my point there. I think this is a conspiracy. I think he's getting in your ear a little bit there. Now, the app itself, it's free to download, right? So you talk about this freemium model that you might be rolling out. So where does the funding come from to produce an app like this? Like you said, you did it on your own. I mean, it's just
right? My
Like,
wife has been asking me that for months now.
I hope she's watching, and then maybe she can figure out where this is coming from. This is great.
Yeah, so excuse me, we've got several revenue streams right now, and right now they're very basic, and we're really not making a ton of money right now. What we're really looking to do is build up our user base, and so we do have some ad support, and you are able to pay to remove ads, which really does make the experience better. It gives you a lot more space to draw on the greens and things like that. So you can purchase that, and then in the near term, what we're looking to do is add those 2 extra revenue streams, which are to become a member of the NoteCaddie community, be able to print out your notes, and then be able to access other people's notes and be matched to them on other courses. But that sort of thing, it's kind of a really cool feature. And so a lot of people that I've spoken to are like, yes, I would download the app for that. And so kind of one of the concerns that exists is, hey, if we set that up right at the beginning, we're going to have a lot of people who want to use other people's notes and not a lot of people who've created notes. So what we're trying to do still is kind of start slow, get a bunch of people on board, start getting notes put into the database, and then once that's established, the NoteCaddie community will be a lot more successful. So, and then the other thing that we're looking to do is, sell some of our own advertising. The cool thing about it is, since we have access to all of our data, the course that I have, in Milwaukee, or the course that I have, outside of Denver, I can talk to businesses outside of Denver who want to reach that specific clientele who's there, and I can say, hey, on these 3 courses, come advertise within NoteCaddie, and set up very specialized advertising that'll really hit the markets that people are looking to hit.
So you developed the app kind of from scratch, right? Like you wrote the code. Like, what was that process like when you first started? Like, I can imagine that was a lengthy. Like, I'm trying to learn Spanish right now, and I asked someone. I've been trying.
It's a lot like that.
For 2 weeks, I've been trying to learn Spanish, right? So I'm using an app on my phone, Duolingo. If you've never used it, I highly recommend it. It's awesome. And I asked someone the other day, and I said, hey, I'm trying to learn Spanish. I'm using this app on my phone. How long before I can speak Spanish fluently? And they said 2 years. And I said, I might be done because I don't know if I can dedicate 2 years. I'm still plugging away, right? But like from an app developer standpoint, that's not something you just sit down and you figure out how to type on a word processor. Like that's a process, right? You got to learn languages. Of speaking of Spanish, you got to learn a programming language.
It's actually very similar.
How has that been? Like, are you learning? Are you using Google to just find tips and tricks? Like, kind of what's that process been like for you to develop an app like this?
Yeah, well, two different and distinct ways of a language. And number one is you sit down in a classroom or you pick up your app and you start getting told verbs and you repeat the verbs and you try and do that. And the other way is to get on an airplane and go down to Mexico and all you have is your toothbrush and not much else.
Thank you for the toothbrush reference, by the way, to what I'm going through right now.
Yeah. And then when you have to go to the bathroom, you're going to have to figure out how to say bathroom pretty quick, right? When you're hungry, you're going to have to figure out how to ask for food and things like that. So immersion is kind of the second tactic, and it can be a little bit more challenging and a little bit more frustrating. It's a lot more intensive, but I think that when you're there and you have goals and you have objectives, it also makes it a little bit more fruitful. So that's kind of the path that I've taken. And really, programming, the awesome thing about it is all it is a series of problems, and it might be 1,000 problems, but if you can break it down into the smallest version of a problem, there's somebody who's already solved that. And so you can go out and with resources like YouTube and Google and Stack Overflow and things like that, they say you can learn anything now on the internet, and it really is kind of true. So as long as you have the right drive, I'll definitely tell you there have been nights where I went down to the basement at 7:30 and there was light, and I came upstairs and it was 6:30 and there was light, and I didn't know which way was up, but I finally figured out how to solve the problem with the code. So
that's awesome. YouTube is like literally the best thing on the internet.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
A week ago, I had a light on I got a new computer at work. I had a light on my keyboard, and it was affecting the way I was utilizing spreadsheets. And I would go right and down and left, and it wouldn't go. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I saw this light, and I'm like, that light's not on. So I literally went to YouTube, and I was like, top right, PC keyboard, third light right on. Boom.
Numlock
video. Bingo. You know what it is. See,
I know what it is. Yeah.
And I'm like, I spent 5 minutes trying to figure out how to turn it off. Yeah, there's a button like right there that says Numlock, and I hit it and it turns it off. But I'm a Mac guy, right? Like iPhones, iPads, and I've got this PC at work, but it's just YouTube is what the saving grace. So that's really cool. So before we jump into the back nine, kind of what's the immediate future of NoteCaddie? It seems to be a fairly new app, but like what are some of the things that are coming down the pipeline that you're looking to add, right away in terms of features for users?
Yeah, so really, I've probably spent the last 12 months working through getting the app deployed initially, and then kind of starting to build the user base, getting the basic functionality, kind of more how people will accept it. And so now we're basically just past that point, and we're really starting to try and look at, kind of getting an audience, getting a market for it. So the next stage is really to kind of focus on the marketing side, getting more people involved. And then I think that at that point, the features are kind of going to kind of draw out themselves. We're going to get, people asking for this or that. We've gotten some requests for things like, holding more than just your own score so that multiple users can keep score within the app at the same time, things like that. Trying to make the app a little bit more social and shareable so you can share your scorecards. We get a lot of comments that the scorecards are really cool looking, and it would be nice to share them on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. So things like that are going to be rolling out in the next few months if all goes well.
Awesome. Now you mentioned social media a little bit. You've been very active on social media. Kind of what's been your strategy there? Just what are you using? Facebook, Twitter. If I can convince you to spend more time in the Google Plus Golf community, wink, wink. 27,000 members strong, growing every day. So come over there and spend some time. But what's kind of been your strategy with social media?
Yeah, Google Plus is something I really haven't touched yet. Same with Instagram, really. Initially, when we started. And it was we back then, because I did have a partner who kind of was looking at the concept with me. And we were looking at kind of expanding the audience for the concept, to see if people would be interested in something like this. We were working a lot out of Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. And kind of what I found was that Facebook has turned into kind of your house, if you will. People can come and see that you're there, and they understand that that's your place. And then if you want to go and find other people, the best place to do that I've found so far is Twitter. because you can go out and and find people based on their engagement and based on what they like, and it's a lot more conversational, really. So Twitter is mostly what I use to connect. A shout out to Golf Chat, which I think is going on right now on Tuesdays in the evenings. I've met a lot of cool people through Golf Chat, and really, we're just trying to expand kind of our conversational audience on Twitter, and then reach out. With my wife's help, I'm getting into Instagram now, and maybe we'll check out this Google Plus thing.
Please do. And you mentioned Golf Chat, so the worst possible time for me is 8 o'clock on a Tuesday, because I leave work at 5:30. I go to the gym. By the time I get home, I'm making dinner, and it's like I'm eating dinner when Golf Chat's starting. So I'm in Golf Chat almost weekly, but it's like 10 p.m. Like, I'm a little late to the party, so to speak.
Yeah.
But, a gentleman who actually, funny story. Like, I've got a lot of connections to Golf Chat, and more than just the fact that I know Zeb, right? The guy that kind of started it. But the most recent guy that has been hosting it has been on this show. Ben, who's going to be the new host going forward, has been on this show. I was this close to getting him to come play in my golf tournament in October, but I'm not upset, Ben, but I'm still a little unhappy that you're not coming. Whatever.
Come on, Ben.
Yeah, right. Come on, Ben. Like, you're gonna host Golf Chat, but you can't come play in my golf tournament. But it is good, and there's a lot of good conversation and good content in there. And the questions sometimes can cause a little bit of a stir. As you know, recently Greg Norman posed in some photos.
Yes.
Wearing,
it's hard to be on Twitter and not know. Yes.
Well, yeah, you're right. And I seem to have a different opinion than most. I think that if I look that good when I'm that old, that I would take all the pictures that you'd want.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
that long ago, Gary Player was on the same issue of ESPN the magazine, butt naked.
Doing the same thing. That's
not a big deal. Like, it wasn't a big deal when Player did it, but now it's a big deal that Greg Norman's now. And Norman played it off a little bit. Like, so working at Tiburon and Greg's tournaments at Tiburon, I've got some connections to him, and I see him and I'm like, I'm not picturing him in that light, but when he's posing with that stuffed shark like right in his face, and he's I don't know, like, just good for him.
You're cool with it. You're cool with it, right?
Yeah. Well, so we're halfway done. Your front nine was all about business. That was fun. It's very cool to learn more about the app and how it's kind of come from nothing, and you've kind of learned the programming language along the way. Wouldn't know that by looking at the app and using the app, but on the back nine, we're going to have a little fun. It's about you and golf, and it's kind of, let your hair down a little bit. So you ready for your back nine?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
What's your favorite golf movie?
I haven't seen all the golf movies, which is surprising because there's like only 5 of them, and they play them like at least 3 times a day on 5. Golf Channel.
Maybe not, actually. Caddyshack, Tin Cup, Bagger Vance, Greatest Game, Tommy's Honor. Yep, there's 5.
Oh, there you go. See, you forgot Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. Yeah, there's 6.
Which probably has to be my favorite. I can probably watch that one more times than I can watch all the others. I also really liked the one that they did on Sevi. The Golf Channel did one on Sevi, like growing up, and that one was really cool. I'm not sure what it's called. But I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, he kind of shows up as a 7-year-old, like whipping out his 4-iron for everything. So
that's cool.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a good one.
What golf ball are you currently playing?
So at the moment, I'm playing the Bridgestone B330S. So I haven't switched to their new version, which is like the Tour B or whatever, because the B330s went on sale. Because they came out with the new version. So I bought a bunch of those, and keeping my balls a little longer these days. So I like it because it gives me good spin, and it feels pretty cushy. In the wintertime, I'll switch because it does get pretty cold here in Colorado. I'll switch either to their RXS or I'll play Chrome Softs because they're a little mushier. So
yeah, it gets cold here in Naples too, like mid-70s. It's crazy. It's so
yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah.
What's the best golf course you've ever played and the worst golf course you've ever played?
Man, I got out golf courses. Okay, so again, I haven't been playing that long, so I haven't really had the opportunity to go out and check out bucket list golf courses too much. We did take a trip out to Mesquite, and I did get to play. I think probably my favorite one out there was called Falcon Ridge. And so it's kind of in the same vicinity there as Wolf Creek, and the same style too of just kind of drop offs everywhere. Another cool one up here is called the Raven. It's a mountain course, and it's set up with shots that are similar. You got par threes where you got 200-foot drop offs. You got to try and not figure out a club for that shot, and especially at altitude on here. So
wedge, just hit wedge.
Yeah, just tap one down there, see what happens. Yeah, maybe just putt it and roll it all the way down.
Yeah, that's just keep it under the wind. And the worst,
the worst one. Gosh, yeah. There's a course out here that's called Applewood, and I think that there have been times when the course has been all right, but at least when I played, the greens were hardly discernible, I think is the nicest way I could say that. So, a short little muni course, tough to, kind of hit a good shot and get rewarded necessarily. So that's probably the worst course I've ever played.
I listen to Dave Ramsey religiously, and he's always like, somebody will be like, "Oh, can I name the company?" And they're mad at the company or shaming the company. And they'll say, "Yeah, 15 million people will hear this." And unfortunately, this show's not quite there yet.
Yes, hopefully nobody at Applewood is there, because
very soon Applewood is going down. That's what's good. What's your favorite PGA Tour major?
Oh man, the U.S. Open. A lot of people talk a lot of smack about it, and it's very controversial when people are like, "Oh, the shots are not fair and this and that."
Good. I don't want it to be fair. I want the winner to be 8 over par. I love seeing these guys.
You don't ever get to see that, So I think that's an excellent contrast. And in spite of the fact that they did say that a few of the holes did feel unplayable, to me, that's how, if you are an amazing, excellent, the best golfer, you figure out a way. People say, well, you hit 150-yard shot stiff and, the ball ends up off the back of the green, you got to get rewarded for a good shot. I'm like, well, how do you hit a shot that rolls off the back of the green and call it a good shot? If it's 40 yards away, you didn't pick the right shot. That's like when Sergio, was hitting a certain wedge, and it was landing stiff. It was landing 2 yards away from the hole and happened to be rolling back on a certain golf course and ending up in the water. And then he did it again, and it rolled into the water. And then he did it again and rolled it into the water. Nobody said that that it was the course there that wasn't rewarding him for a good shot. They were saying he picked the wrong shot, right? So you got to apply that to the U.S. Open too, I think, and pick a different shot to hit in a different scenario if you're thinking that it treated you unfairly.
I'm with you, man. So let's have a drink. Beer, wine, something else? I mean, you're in Colorado. You better be drinking beer.
Yeah, actually, I probably like beer a little bit less than most people around here. There is a microbrewery on every corner, and right next to every Starbucks. So, but I'm more of a Jack and Coke guy myself. Ooh. I typically don't drink that much on the golf course, but if it gets good enough or if it gets bad enough, I'll definitely start with the Jack and Cokes.
I played with a member not long ago, and we were on like the third hole. We made a birdie, and she's like, "Ooh, birdie juice!" And I'm like, "What is birdie juice?" She's like, "When we make birdies, we take shots." And I'm like, "I'm making birdies going forward. Like from this point forward, every shot is a birdie opportunity for me." So I can appreciate the opportunity to have a cocktail. So
yes.
Now, be honest. How far do you hit your driver?
So I actually hit my driver, and this is kind of cheap because again, we're in Colorado.
Yeah,
so,
that's not fair. Like we got to do the math to
yes,
sea level
numbers. Exactly. So, of my friends, I'm probably one of the longer drivers, but I wouldn't call myself a long driver by any stretch. I probably hit the ball out here about 285, 290 typically. And so probably that means that, back on real earth, down closer to sea level, I'm probably hitting like 260-yard drives.
That's pretty good, though. That's still pretty good.
Yeah, so.
Now, let's go back to the U.S. Open. It was a few weeks ago, and Phil did a thing. And Phil always does a thing. And when this happened, the internet broke, and people went bananas, and they're still kind of going bananas. He is currently on an apology tour. Like, yes. Okay, here's my thing. My quick 2 cents. He did it. I don't agree with it. He looks immature and ridiculous having done it. The penalty was 2 strokes. He suffered the penalty. He made a 10, move on. End of discussion. What are your thoughts on what happened? And should he be on this apology tour that he's currently on?
I mean, I definitely think it was quite overblown. I kind of right when it happened, I kind of went back and forth a little bit. I didn't see it happen live, so I had to look it up. And when I watched it, I had never seen that before. That my mind was just blown at first, and then I looked at his score, and I was like, okay, well, he's not in the tournament. Like, this isn't the first time it's happened. We've seen it, with other tour pros and things like that. And when it comes to the question of whether or not he should have been DQ'd, I think that that's probably something different from him having done it. So him having done it, I didn't see it as something malicious or, more than just, him being goofy, kind of how Phil can tend to be. And he knew he was out of the tournament. He knew he was getting crushed on the hole, and it was just kind of watch this. So for entertainment value, I actually thought it was awesome. I thought it was funny, and I thought it was lightening the moment, on what was a train wreck of a hole. I think that if I had been Phil and knowing Phil's position in the game of golf, I probably would have said, hey, you know what? Like, this is controversial, and I'm going to make it not controversial. I'm not in this tournament. I'm just going to DQ myself. I'm just going to step out and say, I'm sorry if you felt like it was an offense to golf. I wasn't in the tournament, and, I was just being light about the situation. And that's that. I think that if he had done that, I think that the book would have ended on it, and it would have been case closed, kind of like you say, and people would have just moved on and said, okay, well, that's, probably the way it should have gone. I think that the fact that he didn't really say much about it after that, besides like, suck it up, basically, kind of stirred the controversy a lot, and then kind of moved us into, well, should it have been a 2-stroke? Should it have been a DQ? And then, it kind of became this open-ended thing.
Yeah, if Tiger did that, he'd be done.
Oh man,
and,
yes. I mean, I don't know.
But then Phil went on Sunday and he parred the hole, and he did his whole like jumping thing that he did when he won his first major, and whatever. But I don't think it tarnishes his career. I think it'll be a conversation on his career for a long time. But I think that if he wins another tournament, it gets kind of forgotten, and it's already kind of forgotten because just a couple of weeks ago, Bryson DeChambeau is drawing pin locations with a compass, and it's always something, right? If Tiger's not in the news, it's got to have something. So.
Yes,
now,
I agree with you.
I didn't tell you before we went live that I am Tiger's biggest fan. I mean, you can see him; he's all around me. I have boxes, like, literally in this room right behind me. There are boxes on boxes of stuff with his face on it. Like, if his face is on it, I want it. Like, I'm self-proclaimed biggest fan. Right now, do you think he breaks Jack's record? Why or why not? And be careful how you answer this, because I'm liking this.
Almost
I'm liking the conversation.
A trap question here. It's almost, you have to understand that I started golf reasonably recently. Like, I didn't follow golf in Tiger's heyday when he kind of made golf almost. So, I've struggled a little bit with golf's return because, seeing it with a little bit less of a biased eye for his glory days, I'd see him show up for tournaments, and then, just 18 different blog posts and articles and this and that about Tiger Woods, on Golf Channel or on golfdigest.com or on golf.com. And he's in like 42nd place. And I'm trying to figure out who's winning the tournament. And I'm like, well, all I see is Tiger Woods, but he's not even in this tournament really. So what's going on? So, aside from that piece and kind of having to understand, okay, why is there all this craziness about Tiger Woods? The last few tournaments that he's played in, he's been showing some stuff. His swing speed is up and his control is up. And, he's still a few away from that major record. So I would be willing to bet he does at least win another major or two. Whether he gets all the way there, I would be less inclined to bet on it, but I wouldn't bet against it.
So Chip Essig from the PGA, who will be the president of the PGA soon, was on this show. It's every time I feel like he was on a couple of weeks ago, it's been a couple of seasons ago. And I've asked every guest of the show that same question, and he said that if he wins one more, he breaks the record. And I like that because if he gets one more, then he knows, one, he can do it, and two, that'll be the motivation that he needs to shut up, go win tournaments, and go win majors. And I think that if he at 42. If he can stay as healthy as he is now until 53, I think he breaks the record by a couple. And I think that's going to be a fun fun 8-10 years if he stays healthy. I mean, you got to think, literally less than a year ago, I'm sitting in the same chair thinking Tiger's never going to walk again.
He's never going to play, yeah.
And now he's swinging a club so fast that he's hitting 3-iron further than my driver in the air. Like, it's absurd. And I can't think that he's done. And I had a week where I was like, I had accepted it that he's done, thinking that I got to have a bonfire and burn all the stuff with his face on it because it's not worth anything. And yeah. I hope that he comes back and can do it again. So
yeah, the interesting thing about that, I've written a little bit about this, is just that I think that, you know, the greatest players in any sport ever, it never crosses their mind that they can't do it. So, you know, I would almost challenge you on that point, is that I don't think that there's any doubt in his mind that he thinks he can win all the majors that he needs to break that record. You know, and that tends to be the reason that a lot of times we see, you know, the greatest professional athletes kind of fizzle out instead of going out after they win the Super Bowl, or, you know, in their heyday, they kind of end up playing for, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs after they played for the 49ers, et cetera, because it never occurs to them, hey, you know, I can't be the greatest. I am the great. That's what makes them get that to that level in the first place. And so that's one of the reasons that they're so great, and it's also one of the reasons that they don't know when to quit.
I think the day that Tiger wakes up and thinks that he can't win the record is the day that he says, I'm done. I'm out.
I'm done.
He's not going to play in the Quicken Loans Invitational or whatever he just played in.
No.
Because he's trying to break the record. When he wakes up, because he's never going to be an honorary starter at Augusta. I don't even know if he knows what the Champions Tour is. He's never going to tour. He's not going to have a Bernhard Langer and go win 75 tournaments in a season on the Champions Tour. When he's done, I think I honestly think that when he does that, when he retires, it'll be a week or two of, oh my God, the greatest of all time retired, and then you'll never hear from him. He might design a course here, he might design a course there, but that's it. He's never going to go out and, you know, and I find it interesting that for the first time in his career, he feels and seems happy taking pictures with staff and fans and signing autographs. And I hope that's not the reason why he doesn't get to where he needs to be, because 5, 7, 10 years ago, he doesn't acknowledge your existence.
Yeah.
He plays
it's
golf
a distinct
to win golf
difference.
tournaments, period.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see. And I'm excited to be alive to be able to see what, in my opinion, the greatest of all time do whatever he's going to do to round out his career. So it's going to be fun. And your final question of your hashtag Wednesday match play is, what's next for NoteCaddie? I mean, it sounds like you're kind of just getting started, but what's the future look like for this brand and this app and what you're trying to do?
Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about kind of where we're trying to head with the NoteCaddie community, the NoteCaddie Army, and then our NoteCaddie portal online, and then kind of getting set up on Android. The other things that we're looking to do is expand a little bit, actually, the NoteCaddie brand itself, and you know, now that we're a little bit better developers, one of the things that I've kind of seen a lot is there's people who are just looking for kind of bare bones. They don't want, you know, notes. They don't want, you know, even much scorekeeping. They just want to know their yardage and things like that. So probably one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to kind of seize on the data that we're building about courses, and we're going to do a just GPS model of NoteCaddie to keep things simple, kind of for the higher handicappers who aren't really ready to invest a bunch of time and effort into that. And then we've got this other little pet project kind of in our back pocket that's called Operation Sweet Spot. And you know, just to give you a little sneak peek, kind of what we're looking at is, for say a beer drinker like you, you know, there's a lot of people out there on the course who are like, hey, you know what? When I drink 2 beers, like I am on, and after 4 beers, I am off. I am off. So
you feel so good about your round.
The concept of the app is to track your scores and through a timeline, and to track your alcohol intake on the same timeline. And so it's going to basically say, okay, well, after you've had 2 beers and it's been half an hour, your scores compared to par are all of a sudden much better. And then once you hit that 3rd beer, or it's been an hour, here's where your average score goes. so that you can find out what your sweet spot is. And it'll even recommend like, oh, it's time for another beer, or hey, you need to chill it out a little bit.
That's fantastic. So I can't comment on that because I typically don't drink when I play, but there have been times
Okay.
where I've had as many beers as many holes as I've played. So,
Yes.
oh, weird. We're on the third hole. Where's my next beer? Let's go. So I think that could be fun. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been so much fun learning more about the app and kind of the history of the app and how it seems like you learned how to speak the language of app development to be able to even develop this app. So one more thing before I let you go. Do you have a job past this, or is this your full-time gig? Like
No, this is my nighttime gig by day. I actually
great.
work in business intelligence, so I'm building reports and sorting through data all day.
That's awesome. I did not expect you to say that. I expected you to say that this is all you were doing. So
yeah.
that's
No,
really
hopefully
cool.
soon. Hopefully soon.
That's awesome. Well, this episode of the Hashtag Wednesday Match Play, it'll be on YouTube, obviously. It'll be on iTunes and Google Play via podcast. It'll be shared to Facebook and Twitter and all over the place. It will be in the Google Plus golf community. Wink, wink. You should
Okay.
join. You should
I'll be
engage.
checking it out.
27,000 members. It's growing every day. And I remember, and I'm going to go way back here, because when I created that golf community, I had 6 members, and then I had 8 members, and then I had 12 members. I'm like, oh my God, we hit 10 members. And I remember when the milestones, 100, 1,000, and
Yes.
it's fun to see it grow, and it's a very engaged audience. And we have one guy that posts on an almost daily basis. He basically just researches putt-putt golf courses and takes pictures of putt-putt golf course holes, and it's really good content. Bernard Sheridan from Impact Zone posts a lot of good content. So please, if you're going to add another network to your repertoire, please add the Google Plus golf community. And the Google Plus content outside of the community is the only social network that is indexed by search engines. So that alone, in my opinion, makes using the network worth it. So
Excellent.
not trying
Yeah.
to pull your arm here to get you to get active there, but it's better than Instagram. I'm just saying.
All right,
But
I'm ready.
But I will make sure that all of the links that you talked about, whether it's a link to the app or whether it's a link to all of the stuff that we discussed, are in the description down below. This
Awesome.
episode will be available again on YouTube, iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. It'll be on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, anywhere you want to consume this content. Please, if you're watching, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the iTunes or Google Play podcast so you get this content delivered to you every Wednesday morning. And thank you again for coming on the show. It's been so much fun learning about the NoteCaddie app. And as always, on the Hashtag Wednesday Match Plays, you have to remember to eat, sleep, golf.